So, let's talk about addiction. Right? Addiction from a guy who smokes cigarettes every day. So, I recently saw this person requesting me to sign a petition to put addicts who overdose into jail and make it a crime, like a criminal offense. And I've seen a lot of people really against this and really angry about this. And I've seen people really happy about this and wanting it to happen. And I'll tell you, while I try and be pretty reasonable with most of my thoughts, this one really kind of strikes a chord with me. Not a heroin addict, never was. But I do have some feelings about it. So, I'm going to tell you that I'm one of the biggest proponents for don't kill. Don't kill people. Don't kill things you ain't going to eat. I even find it hard doing that. I don't hunt. I know some people do, and all good for you. But I don't. But in my eyes, every single life in the world is equal. Every single life. I don't care if it's an ant. I don't care if it's an eagle. I don't care if it's a child, a cat, or an elephant. So I'll tell you a story kind of about the whole life is equal thing in my eyes. So, there's a person at my work a few years ago, and they saw a caterpillar on the ground. So they walked up and started cutting this thing into pieces, and cutting its leg off and stuff, or its legs. And I got really mad about this, and I was like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing right now? And they're like, what? It's just a caterpillar. I said, that caterpillar is alive too. It was alive. You just tortured it to death. They're like, oh my God, quit making a big deal over a caterpillar. I said, look, let me ask you some questions. Is a bird more important than an ant? Would you kill a bird? And this person was like, no, I wouldn't kill a bird. I said, okay, but would you step on an ant? They're like, yeah. I'm like, alright. Is a cat more important than that caterpillar? And they're like, of course, I'd never kill a cat. I said, okay, but you just mutilated the caterpillar. She's like, so it's a bug. I said, alright. Is a baby more important than a dog? She said, what? I said, well, okay. Is a person more important than a dog? She said, well, yeah, of course. I said, so you kill a dog before you kill a person? She's like, yeah. I said, okay, so with your logic, right, the bigger the life, the more valuable it is, right? The more it deserves to be alive in your book. And this person was like, I guess so, yeah. I said, okay, then I don't want to hear you complain whatsoever when I bring my pet fucking elephant to work and have it smash the shit out of you. Because the bigger the life, the more important. And she just looked at me kind of funny. I don't think she still got it, but I'm not saying that what you should do is sweep the floor every second of the day to prevent from stepping on bugs and whatnot. I'm not saying that you should completely inconvenience your entire life to make sure that you don't step on an ant accidentally. I'm saying the needless killing of something for no reason other than to kill it is sadistic. I'm saying that if you go out and seek to kill something intentionally for no reason other than to kill it, that's sadistic. That's cruel and that's evil. So when these people are saying that, oh, you know, people who overdose on drugs and are brought back to life, essentially for like Narcan or something, shouldn't be put in jail. We should just let them die. Well, I never remember reading in any kind of laws that I had to sign up for, that so-and-so or you were a death dealer, that, you know, when it comes to my life and death or other people's lives and deaths, if you fit this certain amount of parameters, so-and-so gets to dictate whether you live or die. At the end of the day, it is your choice whether you want to die or not, but I don't think a lot of the people who have overdosed and died would still pick that now. Maybe. But what does putting addicts who overdose in jail do? Well, number one, there's less drugs in jail. And you can argue this with me all day long. You can tell me that that's not true all day long, and I'm going to tell you this. The United States counts for a very small percentage of the world, and we have 25% of the prison population, which means 75% of the population is out of jail in the world, right? Or at least in the US, or whatever it equals out being, okay? Whatever percent that's not in jail. There are more drug users and dealers outside of jail than in jail. Otherwise, we'd have a much larger percentage of people in jail. There'd be much more people overdosing and dying in jail. I haven't heard of as many people dying in jail from drug overdoses as I have heard of them walking around in the streets and overdosing and dying. So that's a bunk argument, anyone that poses it, that, oh, you can still get drugs in jail. Yeah, but let me know the last time that hundreds and hundreds of people have overdosed in jail in months. You let me know when that happens. So what does it do to put them in jail? Does it do anything for them? Well, yes, it does, actually. Criminally holding them liable is not something good to do for the economy, of course, because our tax dollars are paying it, right? Our tax dollars go to pay a lot more stuff than that. And if we think that our tax dollars are being used appropriately, we're crazy. Anybody that thinks that's absolutely insane has no clue what they're talking about. So, when you put an addict in jail and charge them with a criminal offense and don't let them bond out or bail out, what are you doing? You're forcing them to detox. You're forcing their body to clean that poison that has plagued their minds and plagued their embodiment since they started it. You're forcing their body to get rid of the toxin during the time they're in jail. You're giving them another chance of clarity. You're giving them a point at which to say, okay, I can clearly see what's going on. I'm not under any mind-altering things at the moment. And I can clearly make a decision on my life. They can offer them rehab treatment. They can offer them all kinds of other forms of treatment in what some people call as programming. They can give them another chance at life. Now, I'm not saying that I'm for all of the things the criminal justice system does. I'm not saying that I'm pro-militarized police. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that myself knowing a lot of people who were addicted and afflicted and are, because I live in Akron, Ohio, by the way, shortly probably to become the heroin capital of the United States. I'm sure of it. Heroin overdose, my bad. Being out on the streets, there's a greater opportunity for these addicts and people who are afflicted with the disease of addiction to overdose and die. Taking them out of that scenario and situation can only help, I think. Now, in some small cases and instances, I'm sure it's going to make things worse for someone. And some people are also posing the argument that making it a crime will prevent people from reporting it, and then those people won't get Narcan and live. Well, that's not the jail's fault, nor the criminal justice system's fault, nor the police officer's fault, nor the EMT's fault. That's just the fault of somebody who's not willing to save a life because they're too stuck on how important their life is. Let me clue you in on something. You're no more important than anyone else in this world. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care. You are just as important as the next person. You were all given life the same. You all live under the same terms. You can live, you can die. If you go into water, you can drown. If you Open your mouth, you can breathe. Everybody was born with the same human abilities for the most part. We were all given life. For some reason or another, we're here. And we're all equal in that aspect. I don't care how much you make. I don't care what you do for a profession. We're all equal and should be all treated that way. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care about any of that stuff. Life is life. End of story, period, point blank. Now, while I want to pose a question, which is, so a lot of these people who are heroin users and abusers are not first-time users. A lot of people are. I'm sure there's always somebody new to everything. There's people new to jobs, people new to flying, people new to driving every day. I'm sure there are people new to drugs every day too. But when you see some of these people who have been heroin users for a long time, many years, and all of a sudden within 1 year to a year and a half, 2 years, they just start dropping dead like flies, you gotta kind of wonder what changed. What changed at all? How come in the 1990s or early 2000s this miracle drug Narcan was not completely developed then to prevent the overdoses and deaths? Because they still existed then. Why was it just recently developed and institutionalized? Well, makes you kind of wonder if this was done on purpose. How come they catch people with this fentanyl stuff that they know is going to kill people? They know that if you do it with fentanyl in it, it's going to kill you. You're going to die. Because they say that this stuff, some of it is so potent and powerful that just touching it can kill you, supposedly, right? What changed? My theory is I've heard talk that marijuana is a successful cure to the addiction of opiates. It's a successful way to detox the body. In Ohio, at least. They've put the halt on recreational marijuana. Now, I believe, from what I understand, is that they've passed the medicinal portion. But I do find it pretty odd that if you go into anaphylaxis, you have to pay a ton of money to get the cure. But if you overdose on opiates or heroin or anything like that, they've got a free cure for you waiting right there. How many people carry EpiPens and how many people carry Narcan ones? That's a good question. But I have to really honestly believe that something has changed. That there is someone with an agenda. People that use it for many of years would not be just dropping dead like flies instantaneously overnight if something hadn't changed. Now, that's not saying that they don't overdose and die occasionally, but you don't see hundreds and hundreds, and I'm sure up into the thousands now, of people just dropping down dead left and right. Not when... I remember doing a report on this in college years ago, that heroin deaths were under like 20,000 a year dead from overdoses back when I was in college, and now I'm sure that number is already completely surpassed in the United States this year. And it's only August now. So, I mean, I don't see the side that says don't make it a criminal punishment unless they make it so rehabs cannot be exited on free will. I actually know people who have been taken to a rehab facility, admitted, and walked right out 72 hours later. And they died right afterwards. I know people who went to rehab with all the best intentions and were freely allowed to walk out when they were unstable mentally and walked out and overdosed. So while the rehab facility's enforceful treatment of drug addictions is not mandatory, putting something that is mandatory in place might just save someone's life, and you don't know whose life that's going to be. In my opinion, if 1,000 people have to face a criminal punishment to where they have to pay a fine and do community service, but it saves one life, it's worth it then. In the end, to everybody that doesn't want to do community service and cries about having to go to jail for doing something wrong, boo freaking who? You get a DUI, you go to jail. Why wouldn't you go to jail for doing heroin? Why wouldn't you go to jail for overdosing on a drug? You overdose in your car and cause a hazard to everyone else around you? Okay, well that shows that you're really not in control of your own life. You're letting this drug control it. So giving anyone the opportunity to succeed, to possibly remove their affliction so strongly, to give them a chance to find some higher power to allow them to battle and defeat this addiction before it kills them. In my book, there's nothing bad. So, I mean, it's an opinion either way. And you're entitled to your opinion. This is just my opinion. All life is equal and matters, and everybody should not have to die. I mean, we're all going to die in the end anyways, potentially, possibly. Watch my other video on that one. But at the end of the day, I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anybody to suffer or be tortured or anything like that. And if you think that heroin addicts should just die when they overdose, then apparently you want to kill people and want people to die. I think I might think about myself and my place in the world if that was my opinion, if I was you. But hey, should addicts be put in jail for overdosing? Or should they be let free to walk around the earth after they overdose instantaneously same night? Should they be revived after they overdose? Or should they be watched to die? Should we just let them go and die if they overdose? It's not for you to decide. But your opinion is for you to decide. Think about that.